Hi, I'm Jamie. Welcome to my channel. I'm a homeschool mom to 3 boys, and today I'm going to tell you how I got brave enough to quit my job as an engineer at Boeing. Boeing makes airplanes, for those of you who don't know, and decided to leave it all behind to become a stay-at-home mom and homeschool my boys. So before I even found my husband and we even started dating, I knew that I wanted to homeschool my kids. And that's because when I was in public school, I felt like it was a big waste of time. I ended up enrolling myself in college when I was 14 because I thought it was just such a waste of time, and I just wanted to move ahead and see how it would go, and it went really well. So I kept taking college classes here and there throughout high school. And where I live, you can actually go to high school or go to the community college for free for the last 2 years of high school instead of going to high school. It's called Running Start here in Washington State. So I participated in that. And so my goal for my kids was just to kind of skip the whole public school thing altogether and just get them into college as soon as possible. I thought college was really easy, and I kind of think it's a scam because it's too easy. And maybe that was just my experience. I'm not sure, but I am planning to see how things go. My kids are still pretty young, but that is my goal, is to just finish the basics as soon as possible, and hopefully they'll be able to graduate with a bachelor's degree when they are 18 or so, or younger. I don't know. Everybody has a different path, so no pressure, but on them, we'll see. We're just going at our own pace, which is part of the beauty of homeschooling. I give them an age-appropriate amount of time every day, where it's like 20 to 30 minutes on English, 20 to 30 minutes on math, because they're young, and we get as far as we get. And so far we are a little over a year ahead for both boys. So, I'm not like designing it to finish by a certain date. We are going at the natural pace, their natural learning ability. So no pressure there. But how I got started, how I got brave enough is, one, like I said, I had always planned to do it. And then luckily, the person who I met has also always been on board. My husband has always been on board with that idea, so I haven't had to convince him. That's a huge hurdle. And so then we basically designed our lives around it, where we waited to have kids until we were in a situation where I would be able to stay home with the kids. And the way that it worked out is that I actually did keep working after my first child was born. And then when I was pregnant with my second, it was kind of this moment of truth where I have to pledge my allegiance either way. And I was like 30 when I quit working, so I had to give up all the hard work that I had done in school, again, since I was like 14 or younger. That's 16 years of building up a career, and going through all the schooling, going through all of earning my stripes, as they call it, doing a lot of odd jobs to try to climb up the ladder, and unpleasant jobs that I had to do to climb up the ladder. And then I finally made it, and I had a really good income, and I had to let all of that go, which, if you do the math, it wasn't just letting go of a $30,000 a year job. It was letting go of a career type job that was a big deal, and also just investment wise, it's millions and millions of dollars that I would have been able to, if you include the fact that I could have invested those earnings. Okay. And so pulling the trigger and walking away and deciding to become a stay-at-home mom was a really big financial decision. And I prayed a lot about it, and I found that the answer for me, which isn't the answer for everybody, but the answer for me was that I should be a stay-at-home mom, and it was time for me to put that job in my hand and lift it up and give it back to God who gave it to me. And I made sure that the step that I was taking was aligned with God, and it was, after much prayer and meditation on it, that was the right answer. And so I did it. I took the leap of faith, and I knew that if it was aligned with what God wants me to do, that it was going to work out better than I can imagine, and it did. So that very same month that I quit my job as an engineer at Boeing, as an industrial engineer, that income that I said goodbye to got added to my husband's commission paycheck. And for the next few years after that, he continued to make double what he had been making before, because he works in the type of job where there's no ceiling, because he works mostly on commission. And so I felt like that was, well, it was clearly, great confirmation from God, because that's too much to be coincidence, that it basically didn't impact us financially at all. And then it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, but I will say that there were some hurdles that I didn't really expect, like the isolation, and the lack of being recognized or feeling like important and significant every day. Like I'm not contributing to a big project. People assume I must be like dumb or something because I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I'm sorry if those words are harsh or triggering, but this is my experience. So that's been a bit hard, and I never correct people. It kind of works to my benefit to let them think whatever, underestimate me if they'd like, but, this is part of the sacrifice. You have to let go of your ego, let go of the status, and, I'm proud of myself for being a stay-at-home mom. It's a skin that I want to live in. It's how I want to say that I spent my life. And I didn't find as much meaning in helping make airplanes as I do in helping shape human beings. And I'm also able to live my life much more aligned with the way that I want to. I don't wake up at 4:30 a.m. anymore like I did when I had to, be ahead of the production line, assembly line. And I can sleep in, and the kids and I don't have any obligations whatsoever. I can choose to be part of a co-op or not. I can choose to take a public school class or not with them. I can have them or myself involved in any hobbies we want, anytime we want. We also have the public parks to ourselves all day, every day. The library to ourselves pretty much all day, every day. Everything that would normally be crowded, the zoo, the fair, anything, is basically all ours during the day. Us and the sprinkling of a few other homeschoolers who happen to be at the same place at the same time that day. So it's basically like the world is our oyster. Wherever we go, we don't wait in lines. It's just not crowded, and I just feel very freed by that. It's very freeing. And there was a time in my life where I was free like that, when I was younger, but I also didn't have kids, and I felt like I didn't have much meaning or purpose in my life. And I had moments of deep loneliness, but I have my kids now, which, there are a different set of troubles when you have kids, like never being alone or being overstimulated or overwhelmed or having the crushing weight of, responsibility. If anything happens to them, and you're constantly being judged, no matter which way you go, you're going to be judged no matter which decision you make. Somebody's got an opinion about it, whether good or bad. So, but I think that this is basically maybe the best lifestyle there is, because I wanted to have kids, and I do, and I'm having a lot of fun designing how I'm going to shape them and what I'm going to teach them, and just opening up all these possibilities for them. And I'm really excited to see what happens, because the sky's the limit. Who knows? They aren't limited by, we don't have to wait till they're in 12th grade or in college to learn calculus. They can learn calculus, when they're in 7th grade or younger. And if you do a lot of reading, like I'm reading this book right now, American Education, the Underground History of American Education, and I've read several other books. And if you just read biographies of great people, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, any great American that you can think of, a lot of them either didn't go to school at all, or they finished school by 8th grade. And if you look at old textbooks from those time periods, people were doing, calculus or finishing math when they're in 8th grade. There are all these weird limits that are put on people. And I totally recognized that when I was going through public school. I thought, why are we still doing this? Like, this was an hour, this conversation finished, in like 5 or 10 minutes of explanation, but we're going to spend an entire month rehashing why, or with English, it's like, I learned how to write an essay and think when I was in like 1st grade. Kids, if you listen to your kids and how they talk and things, you'll realize that even though they might not know how to write well, they have the cognitive abilities to write well. They have a fully functioning brain when they're like 6 years old. People might argue with me on that, but you know what I mean. They can have an opinion by the time they're 6 years old. They still have a lot of development to go, but the opinions with reasoning do exist. And even when people are adults, their well-reasoned opinions can be wrong. It doesn't mean that they're not smart enough to write an essay on their poor opinion or their good opinion. So I just think that for us, it's more about not holding our kids back, and also it's about them not being bullied. A lot of people talk about socialization, okay? I don't really need my kids to be socialized by other kids or by adults who I don't know, by complete strangers. If I want my kids to be well socialized, I want them to be hanging around other adults, and they do have time with other kids to play and have imagination time and have more relatability. Yes, they have that, but they also have time to be around a variety of adults who I want them to be around, and a mix of some people who I might not want them to be around, which I think is healthy, just so they can see the reality of the world, so they're not in too much of an insulated bubble. But honestly, my kids and all the older homeschool kids that I know, they're actually really cool. And if they're weird, it's because they're polite. Like, being polite and well-mannered is weird, I guess. But they're also ahead. Normally they're ahead academically, and they speak up and they talk, and they have personalities, they have hobbies and interests. And if all that stuff is weird, and frankly it is weird, then I want my kid to be that kind of weird. So thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share if you'd like more content like this.